welcome to your deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're diving into something a lot of men experience, but don't always talk about, that shift in energy, drive, and even identity that can hit in midlife.
Yeah.
You've given us a ton of material on this, studies, personal stories, even tips on supplements. Our mission? To distill what really matters so you walk away feeling informed, empowered, and maybe even a bit more.
Yeah. What's fascinating to me is how this material connects the biological with the social.
Yeah.
We've got testosterone levels, sure, but also societal pressures, relationships, and how these changes affect a man's place in the world.
Right.
A lot to unpack.
Okay, let's unpack this. I'm seeing this term andropause everywhere.
Yeah.
What exactly is it, and is this something guys should be worried about?
Well, andropause refers to the hormonal shifts men go through, primarily the decline in testosterone production as they age.
Okay.
It's not a myth. It's backed by science.
Right.
Studies show nearly 40% of men over 45 experience it to some degree. Symptoms range from fatigue and lower libido to brain fog.
So that feeling of being off, not having the same energy,
Right.
it's not just in our head, it's actually tied to biology.
Yeah.
But does that mean it's game over?
Yeah.
Like we just accept feeling this way?
Not at all.
Okay.
While these changes are natural, they don't mean giving up on vitality.
Okay.
The sources emphasize that lifestyle choices, not just age, play a huge role.
Right.
That's actually pretty encouraging.
So we're not just along for the ride.
Nope.
We can actually influence how we feel.
Absolutely.
Let's talk more about testosterone.
Sure.
The material you sent paints it as pretty essential, but also in decline.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Well, testosterone is crucial for men. Think of it as the conductor of your body's orchestra. It affects muscle mass, energy, mood, libido, the whole shebang.
Right.
When levels drop, the music gets a little off-key.
And the sources go into some detail on the effects of that decline. Fatigue, low libido, weight gain, even trouble focusing. Sounds like a recipe for a midlife crisis.
Exact. Now, hormone replacement therapy is an option, but these sources really advocate for natural solutions first. Diet, exercise, even spending time outdoors can make a difference.
Right.
It's about working with your body, not just throwing synthetic hormones at the problem.
There's that connection to nature again. I like it. It's not just about popping pills. It's about making real changes.
Yeah.
One source mentioned eating like a lioness for testosterone. What's that all about?
It emphasizes getting enough protein to rebuild muscle and stimulate testosterone production. Lean meats, fish eggs, those are your building blocks. And don't forget, healthy fats, avocados, nuts, those kinds of things.
Good guys actually enjoy.
Exactly.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
But what about supplements? The material mentions natural testosterone boosters like D-aspartic acid and ashwagandha.
Yeah.
Worth exploring.
They can be, but it's essential to do your research and not just chase miracle cures.
Right.
The quality of supplements varies widely, and everyone's needs are different.
Yeah.
It's about making informed choices, not just blindly following trends.
So empowering ourselves with knowledge,
Yeah.
I can get behind that. But there's clearly more to this midlife shift than just biology. This red pill perspective keeps popping up. What's the gist?
The red pill perspective highlights how cultural influences have impacted how men see themselves and their roles.
Okay.
Some sources specifically mention feminism and gender theory as examples.
Now, this is where things get tricky. These topics are definitely politically charged, and we want to make sure we're staying impartial here. We're just trying to understand the ideas and the material you sent, not endorse any specific agenda.
Absolutely. The red pill perspective encourages men to challenge societal pressures to define masculinity on their own terms.
Got it.
It's about focusing on inner strength and purpose.
So it's not about rejecting progress, but rather reclaiming agency and defining what it means to be a man in today's world.
Right.
Makes sense.
And this connects to how these changes impact relationships, which is a big theme in these sources.
Yes.
In communication breakdowns, libido mismatch, a lot of unspoken frustration.
Yeah, like that classic scenario where a guy struggles to express his needs to his partner.
Exactly.
It can lead to a lot of tension and resentment. So how do we navigate that?
The sources emphasize open, honest communication, understanding each other's perspectives, and adapting to new needs.
Okay.
It's not about one person being right or wrong, but rather finding ways to connect and support each other through these changes.
So scheduled date nights, making time for intimacy, really putting in the effort to stay connected.
Exactly. Because when that connection is strong, it can make navigating all these other changes a lot smoother.
And speaking of smoother sailing, the material seems to link a strong sense of purpose to actually higher testosterone levels.
Right.
Is that just a feel-good thing, or is there science behind it?
There's actually research to back this up. Men with clear goals and a sense of purpose tend to have higher testosterone.
Interesting.
It's about finding something that re-energizes you, whether that's a new hobby, a passion project, or even just a renewed sense of direction in your existing life.
So this is where we move from understanding the challenges to taking action. It's about figuring out what truly gives you a sense of purpose and going after it.
Precisely. And the sources offer a lot of practical advice on how to do that. We'll dive deeper into that in the next part of this deep dive.
Welcome back to your deep dive into masculinity and midlife.
Yeah.
In part 1, we explored the biological and social changes that happen as men age, with a special focus on that red pill perspective.
Right.
Now it views masculinity relationships and even raising sons.
Yeah.
We covered a lot of ground, but there's so much more to uncover.
Absolutely.
In this part, we'll focus on practical strategies for tackling those midlife challenges and taking advantage of the opportunities that come up.
Sounds good to me.
Let's start with stress.
Okay.
These sources really emphasized how midlife can be a pressure cooker for men. Work family, that ticking clock. It all adds up.
Right. And the material points out that chronic stress isn't just about feeling frazzled. It can seriously impact your health. We're talking weight gain, fatigue, even increased risk of depression and anxiety.
So managing stress isn't just about feeling better.
Nope.
It's about protecting ourselves long term.
Absolutely.
What if these sources suggest for actually dealing with stress?
Well, they offer a range of approaches.
Okay.
Some focus on mindfulness, things like meditation, deep breathing exercise, even just being more present in the moment. Others recommend more active strategies like exercise or spending time in nature.
I noticed one source even talked about decluttering your physical space as a way to manage stress. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like outer order leads to inner calm?
Exact. It's about recognizing that stress can come from both inside and outside and tackling it from both angles. Creating a sense of order in your environment can definitely have a positive impact on your mental state.
Okay, so strength management check.
Yeah.
But what about mental sharpness? I'm seeing a lot in these sources about how our brains change as we get older.
Yeah.
Is cognitive decline just inevitable?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The material you sent really emphasizes this idea of neuroplasticity. Basically the brain's ability to adapt and change throughout our lives.
So, like, our brains aren't set in stone.
Nope.
We can actually improve them. How do we do that?
By challenging them.
Okay.
The sources recommend things like learning new skills, languages,
Right.
even just playing brain training games, anything that forces you to think in new ways and make new connections.
So it's like working out for your brain, just like we exercise our body. I'm seeing a pattern here, taking a proactive approach to both our physical and mental well-being.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another crucial aspect of overall health, sleep.
Oh, yeah.
The sources point out that sleep patterns often shift as men age,
Right.
leading to all sorts of problems.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Trouble falling asleep, waking up in the middle of the night. It's not just about feeling tired the next day. It can really mess with your focus and mood.
Right. And the material highlights how poor sleep can have a domino effect on your health.
Wow.
It can contribute to fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, even increase your risk for serious health problems.
So getting enough sleep isn't just about feeling rest, it's about protecting our health.
Exactly.
What tips did these sources offer for improving sleep quality?
Well, they had a lot of practical suggestions.
Okay.
Things like establishing a consistent sleep schedule, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, and even making sure your bedroom is dark and quiet.
Some sources even went into detail about things like avoiding caffeine and alcohol before bed.
Right.
And using white noise machines or blackout curtains to block out distractions.
Yeah.
It's like creating a sleep sanctuary.
Exactly. It's about treating sleep as an essential part of your health routine, not just something you squeeze in when you can. And speaking of things that are often difficult to talk about.
So you're going to mention erectile dysfunction, aren't you? It's definitely a topic that came up in this material.
Right. And these sources approach it with a lot of sensitivity. They acknowledge that ED can be a source of stress and embarrassment for men, and they point out that it can have both physical and psychological causes.
So it's not just about performance in the bedroom. It's about understanding the complex interplay of hormones, health conditions, stress, even relationship dynamics.
Exact. And they offer a variety of solutions, from lifestyle changes like exercise and diet to medications like Viagra or Cialis.
I thought it was really important that they emphasized the importance of communication with your partner. Like, this isn't something you have to suffer through alone.
Absolutely. Talking openly and honestly about these issues can help reduce anxiety and actually strengthen your relationship.
So whether it's stress, sleep, or even ED, it's about taking a proactive approach, seeking help when needed, and utilizing all the resources available to us.
Right. It's about taking control of our health and well-being and creating a lifestyle that supports our goals and aspirations. And speaking of goals,
We've got to talk about purpose. These sources really hammered home the importance of finding and pursuing your passions, especially in midlife.
yes, and they link it to everything from increased energy and mood to better cognitive function. It's like having a sense of purpose fuels us on multiple levels.
I'm intrigued by this idea. But how do we actually find our passions, especially if we've been on autopilot for a while?
The sources offer some great advice. They suggest exploring new hobbies, revisiting old interests,
Okay.
or even considering a career change if you're feeling unfulfilled in your current path.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be curious again, to explore what truly lights us up.
Yeah.
I could see how that could be incredibly energizing.
Right. And it might involve stepping outside of your comfort zone, taking risks, and embracing new challenges. But the sources argue that the rewards are worth it.
It's about remembering that midlife isn't an ending. It's a chance for reinvention,
Yeah.
a chance to break free from old patterns and create a life that truly reflects who we are and what we want.
Exactly. And that might involve taking on new roles and responsibilities. Whether it's becoming a mentor, starting a business, or getting more involved in your community.
It's about finding ways to make a difference, to leave our mark on the world. But before we dive too deep into legacy and the bigger picture,
Yeah.
there's another aspect of the red pill perspective we need to unpack.
Relationships, a complex and often controversial topic. These sources definitely have a lot to say about how men and women relate to each other, especially in the context of modern society.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize again that we're approaching this with an open mind, just trying to understand the ideas presented in the material. We're not endorsing any particular ideology.
Right, it's about exploring different perspectives and engaging in critical thinking.
Exactly.
So what stood out to you about the red pill's take on relationships?
Welcome back to the final part of your deep dive into masculinity in midlife. We've covered a lot of ground, from the biological shifts and the red pill perspective to practical tips for health and relationship. But I'm curious, what's the takeaway message here? What does it all mean for the guy listening?
That's the key question, isn't it? These sources really emphasize a sense of agency.
Okay.
You're not just a passive bystander in this midlife journey. You have choices to make a legacy to build.
I like that. It's empowering. We talked about finding purpose, but what struck Emmy was the emphasis on self-reflection. It's like before you can conquer the world, you have to conquer your own mind, right?
Exactly. Several sources use the analogy of decluttering, but for your thoughts and belief. Are you holding on to outdated ideas about what it means to be a man? Are you letting fear or insecurity hold you back?
Yeah.
This deep dive is as much about introspection as it is about action.
That makes sense. If you're battling limiting beliefs from your past, no amount of testosterone boosters or lifestyle changes will truly fix that. But where do you even begin with this self-reflection? It all sounds a bit touchy-feely.
It can be, but these sources offer practical steps. Journaling, for example, was a recurring theme. Not just a Dear Diary kind of thing, but actively questioning your assumptions, writing down your goals, tracking your progress. It's a way to become more aware of the stories you're telling yourself.
Oh, so it's like holding up a mirror to your thoughts and asking, okay, are these beliefs helping me or holding me back?
Precisely. And another powerful tool they mentioned is seeking feedback from people you trust. Not to please everyone, but to get an honest reflection of how your actions impact others. It can be tough to hear, but crucial for growth.
It's like getting a reality check, seeing those blind spots we all have. But I have to ask, what's the point of all this self-work? Does it actually change anything?
The sources connect self-awareness to better decision-making, healthier relationships, even increased resilience when facing challenges. It's like upgrading your mental operating system.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value here. It's like you can have all the right tools and knowledge, but if your mindset is stuck in the past, you won't get very far. So you've got the right mindset, you're taking care of your health, you're finding your purpose. What's next?
That brings us to another key theme. Legacy. It's not just about what you achieve personally, but what you leave behind. This came up a lot in the context of raising sons, but also in terms of your broader impact on the world.
It's like that ripple effect we talked about earlier. Individual strength ripples outward. A better man makes for a better father, husband, friend, leader. It all connects.
These sources challenged readers to ask some tough questions. What do you want to be remembered for? What values do you want to pass on?
Right.
It's not just for guys with kids, it's about the mark you leave on the world.
So legacy isn't about some grand heroic act. It's about the small, consistent choices we make every day.
Right.
Kindness, integrity, standing up for what you believe in. Those things matter.
What's fascinating is how they tie this idea of legacy to a sense of fulfillment. It's not about accumulating wealth or achievements for their own sake, but about contributing to something larger than yourself.
This deep dive has been a roller coaster biology relationships now. Deep philosophical stuff. But it's making me think about what I want my next chapter to look like. What kind of man do I want to be?
And that's the power of knowledge, isn't it? It sparks reflection, motivates action, and ultimately helps you create the life you desire. You came to this deep dive seeking information, but what you've gained is a sense of possibility.
That's a great way to put it. So to wrap things up, it sounds like this journey of masculinity in midlife is about taking control, finding your purpose, and building a legacy that reflects your value. It's challenging, but also incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. Remember, this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. What stood out to Emmy from all these sources is this. You are the architect of your life.
Yeah.
You have the power to shape your health, your relationships, your legacy. Choose wisely, act boldly, and never stop exploring what it means to be the best version of yourself.
Well said. And for those who want to keep exploring these ideas, you can find even more insights in Rediscovering Masculine Power at Midlife, available on Amazon Kindle and Google Playbooks. Until next time, keep diving deep.